Better than nothing.
Got it.
So Carl Crew is on today. So he's going to tell you about himself and his project.
Uh, yeah, I basically grew up in San Francisco in a theatrical troupe since I was a kid till I was like 20. And I actually worked with directors that were a director that was so much better than any director I worked with in Hollywood. He went on to direct really big plays in New York and stuff, but I learned very early about teamwork and about the stage and about finding your light and about your, projecting and everything. People all my life go, "Hey, you're talking too loud." I go, "I'm not talking too loud. If I was talking loud, you'd be deaf." Okay. I can project in the room. But anyway, I finally just I joined an improv class in San Francisco, and everyone in that improv class moved to Hollywood, and that was like 38 years ago, or a little more, maybe about 38 years ago. Yeah. So I got to Hollywood, and I my first lead role was a movie. It was a horror comedy called Blood Diner, and
Sounds
and
delicious.
I love. I'm sorry. What?
It sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's crazy. They call it the funniest movie of the 1980s horror films, horror
Cool.
comedies. And it was 87 when it came out. And
Yeah.
I literally just wrote the sequel, Blood Dinner. Yeah, I mean, I love horror comedy. Even though I grew up on all the, George Romero, Night of the Living Dead, all that nonsense.
Right, right,
I like to laugh and be scared at the same
right,
time.
right. You could
So
even
anyway,
you could even do blood dessert after that.
oh boy, I'm gonna put you on a stage. I think there's one leaving in 5 minutes. Yeah. Anyway, um, yeah. So I moved down to Hollywood, and I got in Blood Diner, and then I got a little part in one of their next movies, Underachievers, and then I hung out with the director's husband, and we started making movies together for like 15 years. A lot of really low budget stuff, and he's the one who actually finally hooked me up with the Japanese investors for the Dahmer film that I did. And um, yeah, we were the first one to come out. It was really, oh my goodness, the blowback was incredible. He was still in court when we announced it, in the trades. And I did something that I learned from a exploitational director. He said, when you announce something, say you're doing it in secret. And we announced it in Hollywood trades. We're shooting this movie in secret. Man, my fax machine back then exploded. Literally, a plume of smoke. It broke because there was like 10,000 faxes that came through. If you ever want to get some attention, saying you're doing it in secret, yeah. But we were really low budget, and but I was passionate about it because actually I was on the phone with the producer, and you look a little like Jeffrey Dahmer. And I'm like, ding, and I immediately got online and I found the police interview with Jeffrey, and that's what I wrote my script from. Anyway, blah blah blah. Yeah, I'm writing part two now after all these years, and it's called Prodigal Killer,
Hmm.
and no one has done anything about Jeffrey Dahmer like this
Uh,
because he literally got saved in prison. He became a Christian in prison
hmm.
because he knew he was going to get murdered.
Right, right.
And it wasn't a last minute conversion either. He struggled for a year doing this Bible course, and God could never forgive me. He could never forgive me. And there's a really incredible pastor, Roy Radcliffe, who was contacted that this guy has done this Bible course and he wants to talk to a pastor. He went down and met him, and met him weekly for a long time, and finally convinced him to accept Jesus, and he did.
Uh,
And then he wanted to be baptized, and they had to do it like behind, surreptitiously, and 2 weeks later he was murdered.
yeah.
um it's
We
it's
got it. He
about,
got on just under the rope.
yeah, absolutely. But it's kind of like the thief on the cross. He didn't get baptized. He lived a
Right.
horrible life, and at the very last minute, bam, he's in heaven.
Mhm.
So people are going to freak out when they think Jeffrey Dahmer's in heaven. I mean, there was so much blowback with the pastor. Like I don't even want to go to heaven if Jeffrey Dahmer's there. I was like, what? I can't believe
Yeah.
people say.
Well, that's the rules. We didn't make up the rules.
Right, but I understand. I mean, when the Dahmer movie came out, we did Maury Povich back in when it was in New York.
Uh,
Before it was about, you're the father. It was like when he was really doing stuff, and and I was roasted alive by all the family members. It was, I mean, I'm a debater. I loved it. I got slapped on stage. You Jeffrey Dahmer #2, like incredible stuff. And I actually posted on YouTube, but I feel sorry for these people. I mean, I was a mortician for 5 years. I
Uh-huh.
lived in a mortuary, and that was kind of interesting to have that in my background when I played Jeffrey.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I was interviewed in front of his door, his apartment door, before they tore it down.
Oh wow.
They flew us back to Milwaukee, and we did Milwaukee's Talking. And I met this obnoxious reporter who was like the center of all the reporting on Jeffrey, and she was nice at that point. But when we went on Maury Povich, she was a real charming woman. But I don't care, it was quite an experience. But people go, well, can't you? How did you get all that out of you? I mean, when it's like, give me a break. I'm an actor. I got called Jeffrey Dahmer #2 on the stage when we did Maury Povich. We're like, okay, right, okay. Anyway, blah blah blah. But I'm actually writing that script right now. We just finished another one called Bag Boy, which was about all my experiences as a mortician and
Uh-huh.
how crazy all that was, all the behind the scenes stuff. It's a horror comedy too, yeah.
Right.
But
And so-
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
I gotta get a shirt like that, man.
I don't know which this one is. I have to wear a different shirt for every interview, or I get them mixed up. So I click on it and I say, okay, I've got to upload this to YouTube. Which one is it? And I can tell by the shirt.
That's great.
So I got to
You can
keep
tell,
buying
baby.
more Bigfoot shirts.
Oh, that's hilarious. I still wear my 50th anniversary Texas Bigfoot conference. I love that shirt. That was a great shirt. And
Have you ever?
you
Go
know
ahead.
Ken Gerhard? Ken Gerhard.
I don't know.
He did Missing in Alaska.
Oh, I think I've seen that show.
Yeah, Ken. He speaks all over America about Bigfoot. He's a
Yeah.
Bigfoot. He's at most of the conferences. Ken Gerhard. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. He came down to I ran the California Institute of Abnormal Arts, which was a live venue and museum for 28 years in Hollywood. And like, out of my mind. And we did some wild shows. They called me the Barnum of Burbank Boulevard because we did so many real freak shows
Oh, cool.
with the midgets and the fire and the bearded ladies and the sword swallowing, the whole deal. But we had a museum and we had all this crazy stuff in it. But he came down one time and I gave him a tour. And when I mentioned, I had the head of Bigfoot, which was a fake, but I had it in my museum. And he freaked out when I said, my Jerry Cruz, my great uncle. He freaked out. So we became friends at that point. Yeah, really cool guy, man. Ken Gerhard. He's a zoologist. He works at a zoo in Texas, but he flies all over, does all the Bigfoot people. Yeah, all
Yeah.
the
Are
conventions.
you ever
Yeah.
going to get on the Bigfoot circuit?
Well, he offered it to me. I will eventually. I mean,
Once your movie comes out, it would probably be.
yeah, I mean, I've done like 40 different Bigfoot podcasts. From London, from all
Right.
over the place. I love it. I love talking about what the real truth is.
Mhm.
That's what I'm about, is the truth, and
Right.
yeah. So I'm really excited. I can't wait to go into pre-production for this. Hopefully we'll be in pre-production by February of next year.
Could you give like a quick synopsis of what's going on? Like,
Oh, for
I
the
know
print,
yeah, I know
it's
you
called
guys.
The Print, and it centers around Jerry Crew and Peter Burns and Ray Wallace and all the other crazy characters that are all mixed up and involved, including my uncle and my father, and who were there in the beginning. And I just wanted to cut through all the nonsense and get right down to brass tacks, because I don't, like I say in our last interview, I don't believe that in evolution, and I don't
Mhm.
believe that they're supernatural. Like I remember Hiram, Jerry's oldest son, was saying, "Well, I think they're Nephilim." Well, maybe there's some bloodline that came from that, whatever. But I think that when people say, "Well, I saw this Bigfoot and then it just disappeared, and then 500 feet down it appeared again," well, how did that happen? It must be interdimensional. No, 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 no. They travel in groups. So the one that you saw appear and disappear, it was not the same one that you saw 500 feet down there. It was part of the family, and that easily explains that. But I mean, I'm not saying that a fallen angel or a demon cannot appear as anything they want to. They can appear as, I mean, there's a whole supernatural element to that aspect of it. I mean, they can appear any way they want to.
Right.
And I'm sure there's a lot of deception there, but I believe that Bigfoots are human. They're just something that's been conditioned to live in the jungle for so long, or the forest, deep forest, tracing back to the giant earthquakes in the 1700s, like the great Madrid Fault. Oh, Madrid Fault, yeah. That literally, I mean, the Mississippi River flowed backwards, and like everyone freaked out. It was happening in Oregon too. Whole rivers were dammed, and I mean, some of the Indians just freaked out, just went into the forest, and they started living. They lost everything,
Yeah, and they
and they had
started
to live.
adapting to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm 100% convinced on anything, except for I don't believe that they're Nephilim. I don't believe that they're supernatural. I believe that they're human. And
Well,
people, well, how come they never found them? Well, they're smart. They're
right.
smart, and they're in their own little world. I mean, you talk to any Navajo Indian, they know that it's the tree people, they call them, and Sasquatch, and I mean, that guy was on. We were on. What's his name? Tom. What's his name? The guy we just talked to about
Tom
Bigfoot Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He was saying that some of their shamans go and get their medicine from whatever. I mean, I think some of the Indian versions they blend some of the spiritual elements a little too much into it, but who knows? Who knows? We don't know.
Well, Meldrum says that we have all the, like when you get the goosebumps, those
Yeah.
are actually bases for hair follicles. So we
Oh,
have,
wow.
even females have all the follicles they would need. And
Yeah.
there's just like a little bit of genetic difference that would cause them to come out.
Right. Yeah,
And
yeah,
every
yeah.
once in a while, like a zoo, like in the circus, you see someone that is all hairy because they had a little defect or whatever, and those things sprouted. But we have the capability of having a full body of hair. You got to get
Well,
going.
I've worked with some dog people, with the like very famous. They're covered in hair.
Right.
Um, and I mean, I worked with almost all the what people would call circus sideshow freaks. I mean, they want to be called that. Like a midget wants to be called a midget if they're in the business. If they don't, they're a little person.
Right.
And I'm friends with a lot of little people.
Yeah.
And I love them too. They're great. They're really cool. And but yeah, it's a fascinating subject, and I just can't wait to. I mean, I can't wait for the real story to get out there about some of these people, like the Bob Titman story. Oh my goodness! Well,
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Oh my goodness, it's really great. It's really great, and it was so cool talking about Peter the other day. That was really cool. Yeah, I'm still just kind of like saddened by all that, that he's gone.
Yeah, we got to finish that one. I guess
Yeah.
When everyone gets back together next.
Yeah. I'd love to be on with Dr. Meldrum.
Yeah, he said he was going to be in one as soon as they got off the cruise. So
Great.
So you could be on that one. I have one test for you before you go.
Sure.
Does this make you hungry?
Oh, brother. I've heard every
you're
single.
really into the Dahmer too much.
Delicious. Yeah.
This looks tasty.
I've heard every joke you can possibly imagine. Not only the mortician's joke, but the Dahmer jokes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got my degree in physical anthropology, what they call now forensic anthropology.
Yeah.
So I was, into that. Not into it.
Well, I mean, when I was at the mortuary.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I analyzed bones to see where, wear marks and stuff, and so to find causation and stuff.
Yes, sir. Well, when I was at the mortuary, we worked with the coroner once a month, and we were on coroner's call, and I saw the most outrageous stuff that you've ever could imagine. It made horror movies look like a joke. What I saw. And that's what we put in this recent script called Bag Boy. A bag boy was somebody who went out and picked up bodies for the mortuary. And I was a bag boy. My business partner now was the bag boy back then too, and he's the one that got me into. You want to be an apprentice embalmer? I said, okay, I don't care. I was 18. I don't care. And of course, my father was a cardiovascular surgeon, so I've seen people in operations all my life.
Right.
But I prefer that they were not in pain.
Right.
So that was kind of, and I never had anything haunted happen when I lived at the mortuary.
Well, sometimes
Um,
when their muscles contract, they'll sit up or
yeah, I've heard all that. We put all that in the script.
yeah.
Do they sit up? Do they sing? Do they? No, they don't. There was one time when my
Do
friend
they fart?
Robert, yeah, all that stuff. One time when my friend and I put this giant lady down on a slab after picking her up, and she went like this, and I'm like, mm-hmm. And he goes, no, that's the last breath coming out of her mouth,
Uh,
the air that was left. And I heard from this mortician, he said, in certain cases when there was like foul play, they're frozen. They have rigor mortis they're frozen in the last position of they were when they died. And if when the air comes out, you can hear the last word that they said.
oh, weird.
Yeah. And I
That's
found out that
really
was totally fake. I said, you got me, man. You got me really good.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting cremated now.
Yeah. I mean, I was always against cremation because we had a crematorium and like, man, you ever seen when they put a body in there, you know what happens? There's a little window on there. Like at one point, this body sit up and go, ah! No,
Oh
I'm
my
just kidding.
goodness.
No, I'm just kidding.
I know the grease comes out because part of my job is I go to vehicle damage with fatalities and
Yeah.
the at the footwell where the gas pedals are, there would always be like bacon grease around them where the people melt.
Bacon grease.
And a lot
Well,
of,
the funny, go ahead.
well, sometimes if you reach by the gas pedal, when the coroner took out the skeleton, the feet would be under the grease, so they'd be like fresh, like regular feet, and they'd be like cut off. They came off and they'd be underneath the fat.
Oh, you're gonna love this movie. You're gonna love this movie.
It was,
Bad Boy. Yeah.
it was weird.
We go into all that stuff.
When you're doing it as a job, you don't even think about it. But afterwards, you go, "Oh, that was kind of weird."
Well, I mean, you do get used to it. I mean, and I compare that to Dahmer. He got used to killing people.
And eating
So,
them.
I'm sorry.
He ate them, right?
Sometimes, yeah, always wanted to be next to them. He wanted to be with them all the time. He didn't want anyone to leave him, and that was part of his psychosis. But,
Oh wow.
yeah, but yeah, the whole mortuary thing, man. Wow, I mean, that was just amazing. When I think back, I could never do it again. Yeah,
I would never do the job I had again.
yeah, yeah. I could do podcasts now, and I'm working with this guy. We do him on Rumble, and it's called Fourth Watch Files. And he's an actual does deliverance. He casts demons out of people all the time.
Yeah.
And that's not his main job. But I mean, this guy is hardcore, and we do some really interesting things on Nephilim, on UFOs, on all this supernatural stuff. And if you ever want to hear any of that, you can go to Rumble.com and go on Fourth Watch Files. We're just about to start it up again. We're going to do one on Burning Man. All this mess that's happening on Burning Man right now, right?
With the mud, and they blocked them from going in.
Yeah, there's a lot of really, really eerie stuff about Burning Man, but like I don't take acid, and I don't, that's how you have to do, in a way. It's something designed. It's like sorcery. It's sorcery in the Bible is forbidden. And what is sorcery? It's pharmakia. So that's drugs. That's psychedelics. Yeah. And so we do a whole thing on that too on the Fourth Watch Files. Anyway, I've always been attracted to the hidden history of everything. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But so about I hope we can do a really good thing on Jerry because I got a lot to reveal on that.
Yeah, just tell me when, and we'll just hook up again. And it'd be great to have Daniel Perez because he has such good questions.
Oh, he's great. I really like him, man. Yeah. I could get Wade Crew on the show, which is Jerry's youngest son.
Oh, that'd be great.
I can ask him. He did Finding Bigfoot one time, and he got really soured on everything. Because I don't think they treated him too well. They went up to Willow Creek and went to the Bigfoot Museum, and see, I cannot wait to be shooting in Willow Creek.
Yeah,
I can't wait to just go up there. I remember as a kid, my father, he got a speedboat with the pastor of our church. We would take people out water skiing, on Saturday before church or up at the Delta, and then drive back into San Francisco, and it was all foggy and we're all tan. We look like Martians. But we went to rent a houseboat on Lake Shasta for 2 weeks.
Right.
And it was so cool, man. Oh my goodness. And Yeah, just to be up there. I cannot wait to be up there. I have friends that live up in Mount Shasta right now. I hear all the roads are washed out.
Uh,
A lot of the roads on Mount Shasta, they had all
um,
kinds of boulders and yeah. So it's
yeah,
going to be
my
interesting.
family used to go boating at Lake Shasta once a
Oh
year.
yeah, there's so much great water skiing in the summer. Yeah,
Yeah.
really cool. There was another time we rented this cabin in the woods. It was like this creepy old. I kind of describe it as a flaking white birthday cake of a house. It was like I love old creepy houses, and this had the creepiest attic in the world, which I loved. And everything was like white and crackled. And I remember just being out in the woods, man, in Shasta, but I never heard anything, you know. Not too bad. Now I do open the print. One of the opening scenes of the print is my uncle Jim, who was logging with Jerry, and one time he was coming back to his motorhome that was parked on the side of the road where they had been bulldozing. And he had his on his Harley, and he's driving up these roads that they just carved out right by Willow Creek. And his sun was going down, and his gasket gave out, and he had to stop. He said, "Oh, great!" So he had to literally get off and take his laundry and start hoofing it up, you know, before it gets really dark to get to his motorhome. And as he's walking, he can see the Willow Creek right through the trees down there. And he suddenly is aware that something is shadowing him. And he gets a little spooked and he starts walking faster, and the thing starts walking faster. And then he ran, and the thing ran. And he's getting really freaked out. He stopped, picked up a rock, threw it, it hit it, and it got down on his knees and howled like a Bigfoot.
Oh
And
my
he
gosh.
said, never forget it. Years later, he heard the same howl. All his hair stood up. He knows what that howl is. And he got back to his cabin, and there was nothing that happened. But yeah, that's one of the opening scenes in the print. But
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
yeah, I can't wait, man. It's not going to be a little 50-cent movie. It's got to be a big,
Big
it's going to be,
production.
big budget. Yeah. So anyway, cool, man.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yep.
So,
Well, yeah, I'd love to meet that guy from Breaking Bad and all that. And
yeah,
I'm fascinated with hearing more of Native American aspects of Bigfoot.
that's
You
pretty
know,
cool.
Sasquatch. Yeah, yeah, that's their original name for it. Yeah. So,
Okay.
what I didn't say was on the last episode was Jerry drew the map for Patterson Gimlin, who used to find that film.
Oh, wow.
He drew the map to have them go there, and it was given to Al Hodgkinson or something,
Oh,
and
yeah. At the
in
store there.
it ended up in Gimlin's hand, and that they used that map. And I saw a thing of a interview with Gimlin saying that too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
The
that's
variety store.
what.
Al Hodgins owned the variety store in
Right,
Oak
right,
Creek.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Fascinating stuff, man. I love all that stuff.
Yeah. Then they used
I
the
hope to
phone.
meet Bob Gimlin someday, but I don't know. Yeah, we'll
Oh,
see.
maybe we will. I know
Yep.
that the phone outside the variety store is still there, the one they used to call on the payphone for Roger's brother-in-law.
Wow, how cool! Wow, amazing. I love the history. I'm a history addict. I mean, I've studied history all my life, and I love the historical parts of everything. So that's why I was so enthralled with Peter Burns. You know, Peter Byrne, yeah,
Yeah,
amazing guy.
we'll talk about.
Cool.
Okay, well, you better go to your own meeting, and I'll
I will.
appreciate you for your
My
talk.
pleasure, man. I'll talk to you soon. You keep me
Okay,
posted.
thanks a
All right,
lot. Have
Daniel.
a good
Take care.
day.
You too.
Thanks for everyone watching our film. See you next time.